Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Spectrum Talk. And I got some bad news. Though you've probably already seen the update video on the channel. I got some not so great news, which is the channel is basically dead for a little while. At least up to a week. This is because my computer has decided to kill itself. Kind of. Or maybe it was already dead and it was just a zombie. I don't know. I've destroyed the computer. Well, not destroyed. I took it apart. I took out everything so I could get the motherboard out. I've never built a computer before, so I have no idea what I'm doing. The only reason I'm able to record any of this is because my wife has a Microsoft Surface, which I used to make videos off of for a while, but they didn't have the best quality in terms of audio. We got the best we could, but there were a lot of times where you couldn't hear us, or the game was overpowered, or the game was too low, or something like that. It's before I knew about compressors and limiters and all that good stuff. But I can't really do that on this, or all of this, it'd be all around me, because it doesn't have enough processing power. It wasn't made for all of that. What it does, however, have is a better graphics card than the built-in piece of shit that the motherboard had, which allows me to use DaVinci and actually edit like well. But it was a bitch to transfer back and forth. Now I don't have to worry about that because the computer's dead. So what I've done is I have made, what have I done? It's been a long day. I have, and this happened last night. And I was supposed to record an episode, on Sunday or whatever, and just never got to it. And then when I tried on Monday, there were issues, and then Tuesday found out why. It's because the computer is just dying. It got to a point where it wouldn't load anything. Like, it just, basic simple programs. Nothing was running in the background. Nothing was using memory. Like, it wasn't like something was running in the background. It was taking up all the juice. It just refused to open stuff. And then I reset it, did everything. Just kept doing it. Something was horribly wrong. And it was just dying. I was losing footage like crazy. I only found this out because I went to go edit some videos to put them up. And there was no audio. And the game audio, well, there was audio, there was no mic audio. Despite me checking beforehand, I did it and everything. Checked, make sure it was popping up on Voicemeter, popping up on OBS and everything. When I clicked record, something happened, and I just didn't notice it. I noticed it later, when I started going, what the fuck is going on my computer, where it just kind of flashes and then changes all of my settings. That's really fucking weird. But yes, it did, and it turned off all my mics for whatever reason. And then the game audio was out of sync, which shouldn't be possible. That's weird. That's not something that I can control. Because at least I don't know how to control, in order to sync, you would never do that. Right, because you desync. The reason you put a delay on like the mic, right, is because I have one of the external capture cards. Because when it comes into the computer, it's at a delay. So you put a delay on your microphone to match that delay, so it matches up with everything. But you don't have to do anything to the game audio. The game audio is delayed, same as the game. But for whatever reason, wasn't working. So yeah, so what I've had to do is, one, go on Affirm. If you don't know what Affirm is, this is not sponsored. I wish it was. Oh God, I wish I had a sponsor. I'm not going to sponsor these things. I mean, I have Anchor, but I'm not going to sponsor these things until I get a decently sized audience. Then I'm going to try to sell you shit. Or you could just support me. Either way, doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. Though I could definitely use that support now, so I could build a actually decent computer instead of this zombie machine that I have. Got on Affirm, which is like it's like a credit/loan kind of deal. But instead of like a credit card where it has a bunch of really high interest, it's not like that. I got it when I went to go buy my Casper mattress. We got one of the cheaper ones, or the cheapest model you could get. And it's awesome. I love the damn thing. I'm actually kind of curious to what the regular Casper feels like, and then it's like next gen bullshit feels like, because this thing's great and it's the cheap one. We got that like 2 years or so ago, but we couldn't pay like the $600 or $700 that it cost. But it was like, you can get approved through Affirm, and I did. And it was like, I think I paid it off in like 6 months or something like that, like $50 or something like that. The loan wasn't super long, um, but it was a relatively small loan. Okay, and then the payments were easily manageable. Well, since then I've used it a lot because they told me it's like download our app, and by the way, as long as you're approved for the credit, you can get a lot of stuff and just make payments on them constantly. And I was like, maybe. So when I had to sell my consoles way back when I didn't have a job, I bought them all back. Well, I got a PS4 Slim, which is the same PS4 that I had, except I had just a launch edition, and then got an Xbox One S, even though I used to have an Xbox One X. It's the fourth Xbox that I've bought, because I had an Xbox One, then I had a One S for like a day. I didn't have that One S for very long, and then I had and that was just a simple upgrade. Like I just traded in, just get one, just to get the better thing. I believe it was because that 4K Blu-ray player or something. I know I wanted the S, it looked better, and then I traded in that for the Xbox One X, and then I had to sell that, and now I have the One S again. And the S is great, but man, I missed the X because I didn't realize how just ungodly powerful that thing was. But I was able to get them, and now they're all able to get them, and now they're all paid off because of a firm. And paying for a several $100 console and some games is pretty easy when you do it like $10 at a time. And then when I had more money, I would just throw more money at it and then pay it off. They're all paid off. I got my work boots through a firm because I couldn't really drop $200, in case something came up, but I could pay it off a little at a time. And those are completely paid off. The earbuds I use all the time at work for hands-free calling. Also, well, they're being paid off. They're being paid off at the moment. I haven't paid them completely off yet. Firm's great. I say all this because I got the computer parts through them. I didn't want to drop hundreds of dollars, and I didn't. By the way, I got it pretty cheap. Though I didn't actually get to do what I wanted to. I wanted to try to upgrade my system, and I kind of did, kind of didn't. But I'll get to that in a second. And I did it through a firm, so I'm having to pay it all eventually. But I didn't have to drop several $100 at once that I didn't have. I ended up only paying like $114, which, how the hell did I do that? Well, I was going to just get a better motherboard, like a real deal one. Might as well just keep the case, get a better motherboard, keep the CPU that I had, because the reason I got this Office PC was so I could stream and do stuff and do more stuff. It's hard to talk. And I got one for a steal for $200 that had an i7 CPU in it, which allows you to do a lot of awesome stuff. A lot better than i5s, i3s, and everything like that. Even the newer generations, because they just can multitask better. I think this is actually it's a 2600, so it's not anywhere close to being a new i7, but it's still an i7, and it works pretty damn well. And to get a new one, or even one of the current generations, they're really expensive. They're like $400 something. And they hold on to their price pretty well. So I'm like, I have an i7. I'm going to keep it. All right, so I need a motherboard that's compatible with it. Well, shit. Rando problem. Since it's so old, a lot of the newer motherboards don't support it, and the ones that did aren't really made anymore. So that's a fucking shame. I got lucky because I was able to find the motherboard, like the exact same one that this computer had. Someone was selling it on Amazon for like $50. I think I got it for $40 because it was refurbished or something like that. If it doesn't work, that sucks. I'll get another one. It's better than the dead one that I have. And I put it in there. Had a surprising amount of RAM in that computer. I didn't realize how much I had. I think it was 8 gigs, which admittedly isn't that much, but it's an Office PC. I didn't expect it to have 8 gigabytes of RAM and 2 gig sticks, and I think they're working okay. If not, I'll just get more RAM. It's got all the PCI Express slots I need. Hard drive's fine, all that good stuff. But the motherboard was hard to find. When I finally found the exact one, I wanted something better, but too damn bad, I suppose. So I got that motherboard. What else did I get? I got a graphics card. I don't remember which one it was. I can actually look that up real quick. I don't need to game on this machine, but apparently I might possibly be able to. But I don't honestly care about gaming on a PC. I'm going to invest in gaming. I'm going to invest in something I know how to use and build and everything, and that's going to be the Xbox. Plus, I can still use GameFly with the Xbox. Can't really do that on the PC. It's a little difficult. What graphics card did I get? That didn't help. Give me the right list, Amazon. I don't know why you gotta be so freaking difficult. There we go. It is. That does not tell me. That just tells me when it's showing up. Please tell me. Radeon Pulse RX 5500, which I'm told is a pretty good graphics card. Got it for $64, which is a steal, apparently, through Pulse. I don't know if it's legitimate or not, but I think it's with Prime, so I can return it. So that's awesome. I know there's probably going to be a lot of bottlenecks. I'm using an older motherboard. I'm using that old CPU and stuff like that. But the reason I got the GPU is so I don't have to keep switching between shit in order to edit. I already had to switch between shit a lot of the times just to upload stuff. But now that I have internet, which sucks that I finally got internet and now my computer busted. That really sucks. But instead of switching back and forth all the time, I can stop some of them. So now I can do it all on one machine. That's awesome. And for whatever reason, this didn't have enough graphical power to edit, which is understandable. CPU-wise, it was great. GPU-wise, So with this, I'm hoping it will give me the editing boost. Now, I'm not going to be doing anything in 4K. Everything's going to be in 720p. Because why the hell not? Why would... one, I have a data limit. Uploading takes out of that data, and the bigger the uploads, it takes longer. And it costs me money. And as often as I upload, it's just not worth it. If I start making a lot of money at this, or help, not even a lot of money. If I start making a living off of this, then yeah, I'm gonna start upgrading and get better, and I'll get the best internet plan ever because it's necessary for my job and write off of my taxes. It'd be great. Right now, I can't do that. But yeah. So I got a pretty good deal on that graphics card, I'm hoping. Hope to God it works. Everything I was able to find looks like it'll work. So it should be good. I just needed to edit, but I didn't want to get something that was too old or too low or whatever and just not fucking work. I wanted something that was actually going to work and can run all the stuff that I needed to. So that's good. Eventually, I will have to just get a whole new PC. But the reason I didn't want to do that now is not only is it fucking expensive, but it's expensive and I don't want to have to shell out that money when the Xbox and the PlayStation are right around the corner. And I'm getting one of those. I'm getting it for this channel. Also because I fucking want it, but I'm getting it for this channel. Which one am I getting? I'm getting the Xbox. Why the hell would I not get the Xbox? Game Pass and everything else. Getting the Xbox. What about the PlayStation? Well, I can play Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4. I'm probably going to do that. But also, other than that, there's not really any launch titles I'm excited about. There's one. Demon's Souls is cool. But I don't care about it as much, though. So that's an issue. But, there's stuff coming out on PlayStation that I do care about. Just not currently, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Sorry, it's getting difficult to talk. This happens all the time, and I hate it. It happens when it's late, and it just gets really difficult to talk. I'm thinking faster than I can speak, and I just run over myself. Isn't autism fun? It's not. But yeah, and then getting both of those, that's $1,000. And I'd rather get both of them than get a gaming PC because I'm a console gamer. I don't have the money or the internet, the ability to PC game all the time. And the reason it's going to be so expensive even on the console side is because I can't get the digital editions because I pay for GameFly so I can use it and it's cheaper. and it's better. And GameFly's awesome, which I had them as a sponsor because I rip them all the time. I love GameFly. GameFly is amazing. I'm also a fan of digital media because at any point in time, though, while downloading an internet off the internet is very convenient and great, if you don't have the internet or the ability to do that, it kind of sucks. And at any point in time, they just go like, you can't have it no more, and that really sucks. Kind of how like nobody can play PT anymore. Sucks, doesn't it? But yeah. So yeah, the computer's down. So until I'm able to actually get the parts, they're being shipped, but they're not going to be until like next week sometime. Until I'm able to get the parts and put everything together and get it all up and running and everything to work. So I'm probably going to be down for 2 weeks in total. I'm going to be doing these. So I'm still going to keep the podcast, but by these, I mean probably more vlog videos in general, just because I have to do something and I want to keep the channel up. I don't want there to be this big old gap. And yeah, I just don't want there to be a giant gap on the channel. I've already done that once, and I don't like it. It's not fair to the audience and whatever, to the very little audience that I have. I'm trying to build, and I don't want to do that. Plus, it keeps me busy. I mean, I don't really need to be busy. I'm already busy enough, but it keeps my mind and going, and I have enough to put down on here. So yeah, how long has this been going? How long have we been talking? Just what, 16 minutes? Okay, I thought it was much longer. I thought it was much longer. I just been talking about the PC issues. But yeah, it really sucks because I was planning on, with October doing a lot of Halloween content. We were playing through Costume Quest. I can't believe I lost a really good Costume Quest video. I lost a great horror game video, Made of Scare or Skur. Where you're literally on Skur Island. I lost a lot of videos, and it sucks. It really sucks. I luckily didn't lose any Mafia videos because the audio got desynced, and I was able to edit it in part, except for that last one that got fucked up somehow, and sync it back up by switching over to this Microsoft Surface, which is great. I love the Microsoft Surface. I just wish it was the more expensive model so I could do more with it, but the Surface is great. Also wish I had the money to afford a more expensive model. I wish I had the money to afford a lot of things, like outright, not have to just keep paying stuff out. But it builds credit. But yeah, I was trying to build this channel, just build it for like 5 years. But only the last year or two have I been doing it consistently. And then I took a long break for a while because of a bunch of shit that happened in my life that I don't need to necessarily get into. And the idea when I got internet was, hey, we could start streaming again. And I did a test stream and tried to work out some bugs. That day, my upload speed was just terrible, so it didn't really work out too well. But it's possible. And I was getting really excited, and then my computer just ate shit. And I don't know. It's always something. It's always something, right? But nothing's insurmountable. And I can still keep doing this. And I'm going to keep doing it. I put so much into it already. And I know there's sunk cost fallacy and everything. But this isn't like this isn't usually like with that, where we'll just keep preparing it instead of buying a new one. There's not a new one to buy. And I literally can't afford it. Not scrap it. Because what would I scrap it for? This makes me happy and keeps me sane, so I'm going to keep doing it. But I have put a lot of money. I got 2 monitors behind here that are black that, because they're not being used because they're not hooked up to them. And I got the Surface here that I can use because Joe's not using it. I have a TV right there, but I've had that one since before high school. It's a great Vizio. Vizio makes great product. Got the big Samsung in there, which we got for our our honeymoon, and it's great. And that's in there. That's where we game. And then I bought 4 USB microphones, a cheap one, a better one, which was the Snowball, the blue Snowball. Then bought a Yeti, and it's great. And then bought this one, which was great once I figured out how to work everything, and once Windows stopped fucking with it, because Windows hates microphones for whatever reason. That's weird. Windows will always fuck with microphones. And that's what I thought was causing the problems before, and it wasn't. It was the damn computer itself. But of course, I got the TV just because we got it for a wedding gift or a gift to ourselves. We had the honeymoon money and we used it, and it's great and use it all the time, and I love it. And because it was an amazing deal. For those who don't know, when TVs get an upgrade, or now when you're looking for an upgrade on TV, and you don't know when to shop, it's like, is it Black Friday or is this that? No. The best time, the absolute best time, is when the new TVs come out. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but all the TVs now have a series next to them, like a series 8, 9, whatever, yada yada yada. When they do that, the stores, because they want to put in the new product, like the brand spanking new products, because that's what customers want. They got to get rid of the old product first because they don't have enough shelf space. So what do? They throw it away? Hell no, they sell that shit. But they got to do it fast, so they mark them down. And it doesn't last very long because, no shit, they mark them down so low, people buy them like it's going crazy. But they do make some concessions. It's like you can't return it, and this, that, it's broken, yada, yada, yada. And they have display models too, which are even cheaper. And I was at the Walmart, and I wasn't even there for that. I was like, I don't know, getting my tire fixed or something. I was at the store for something, and then I was walking by, and oh, there's my wife right there. And I was walking by, and I was like, man, there's a lot of people buying TVs, and there's TVs everywhere. And I was like, man, why are there so many TVs? And then I'm looking, and I see this 57-inch, or no, it's 53-inch, which is a weird number for a TV. She was like 50, 55, 53, whatever. 4K HD TV, Samsung. So that's one of the big name brands. I was like, oh man, that's a nice TV. How much did that cost? And it was in the box and everything. It wasn't a display model. Like $400. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. Because at the time, that type of TV was usually $700, $800, sometimes $1,000. And this is some of the smart TVs too. When you take that smart shit out, you can probably shave $100, $200. I don't need that stuff, but it's convenient. I was like, bullshit. I'm like, yeah, they're trying to get rid of them and stuff. And I'm like, I gotta make a phone call. Called up my wife. I'm like, hey, that's pretty good deals on TV. You want to get one? She's like, how good of a deal? I'm like, I'm staring at a $1,000 TV. They're selling for $400. She goes, what's wrong with it? Nothing. Just trying to get rid of it because the new one's coming in. She goes, huh. She starts looking around, realizes that we don't really have a TV. We were just using our roommates. She's like, what kind is it? It's like 53-inch. It's 53-inch. It's 4K? Yeah. It's like, that's one of the new ones, right? It's like, yeah, it's Samsung. Samsung, buy that. Once she heard it was Samsung and it was one of the name brands, like not TCL or something like that, which, hey, they're a good TV manufacturer. At the time, we didn't know that. Now we do. I was like, Samsung, buy that shit. Like, my monitor that I have was $200. And it's, how big is this? It's a curved monitor, so that made it go up. I bought that right before college. Oh God, it was 2015. It's 5 years ago. It was like $200 something, and this TV was $400. It's much bigger, and in 4K. So yeah, we snagged that thing, and it's been great. Love it. It's just a heavy bastard. Or it's not that heavy. It's just unwieldy. But yeah, you ever need a TV, you want to upgrade, that's when you do it. That's when you need to plan. I just don't know when they do that. Like, I don't know if it's the same time every year. I don't know if, and it didn't seem like it was Samsung. It seemed like everybody was doing it. And I wasn't like in a Walmart in a massive city. The city of 16,000 people. We were in Brenham at the time. Walked in there and was like, what's going on? And there's TVs everywhere. And I almost bought a smaller one because the HD ones, just regular HD 1080p, they were selling for like $50. And I was like, but I was like, no, wait. Why get a $50 TV? Granted, it's like a $50 40-inch TV, but it's only HD, when I could get this 4K shit right here. And 4K is where everybody's going. That's the future. So you're never going to see a deal like this again. So I snagged it. It's great. That's a fun time, fun memories right there. Found some good deals on the computer parts too. Granted, it was like two things, but still, computer parts, especially now with the pandemic, and then even with because the pandemic jacked everything up because everybody who didn't really buy computer parts started buying computer parts, especially like webcams and microphones. You can't find them. And having to do upgrades and stuff. And then the other thing that's driven it up are Bitcoin miners. Fucking assholes. And not just graphics cards, everything regarding building a PC has gone up. Because I guess it needs more than just a graphics card. Well, I mean, yeah, PC needs more, but in order to mine Bitcoin, I guess it just needs to be a fucking powerhouse. What are you gonna do? And that's just driven up the market like crazy. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know what else to talk about. It's only been 25 minutes. That'd be kind of a short podcast. But I'm trying to think of what else to talk about news wise, because I had some stuff to talk about Sunday and then on Monday. But then when the computer died, it's kind of taken over my mind. So I forgot. I mean, other than the console's coming out soon, which is awesome, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. Nintendo had like a little mini direct today, a partner direct, and then Control got unveiled, but it's a cloud version, which, hey, neat. The more ways to play Control or play good games in general is a good thing. But it seems weird that it's a cloud version, not because I think the Switch can run Control. I don't think it can. That being said, I bet you could get it to work. The Witcher 3 works on it, and so does Wolfenstein 2 and Doom, and then Doom Eternal eventually. I think it's possible. But the reason I find it interesting is there have been these cloud versions of these games released in Japan. I believe Resident Evil 7 and maybe an Assassin's Creed, one of them, was a cloud version in Japan. Never got released outside of there. And this being the first one that's kind of that's releasing in the States is interesting, to say the least. Weird. Not weird because I don't believe in cloud gaming. I do. I think the streaming is good. Is it the future? It's part of the future. Is it where everything's going to go? No. Probably the way it's going to go is how Xbox is doing it, which is to have it be a supplement. It could be a really, really good supplement and it can be awesome and can add to that gaming experience, especially for stuff that like games as a service, stuff that you're grinding in or whatever. It'd be an excellent component. Oh, I'm bored. Well, maybe go, do daily or something like that. Pull out your phone, shit like that, and go on there, or your little laptop, or whatever you got. That's awesome. Is it going to replace consoles or PC? Anything that's hardline? Hell no. Hell no. But it's a fun addition, and it's great. And xCloud's worked a hell of a lot better than Stadia ever thought about working. But other than that, the cloud stuff is odd, just because they haven't done. This is the first time they've tried it, and I'm wondering why. Because there's a reason stuff like that works really well in Japan, is because Japan has amazing infrastructure and they're pretty densely populated, and all the internet's in like one spot. And a lot of they've tried these cloud games before and they've seen great success there. But I wonder why Control is the first one. I don't know why it seems so weird to me. Like, it's cool idea. If it works, and if it works well. Just something about it just seems odd, and I don't know what it is. But other than that, I mean, oh yeah, No More Heroes 1 and 2 getting ported to the Switch. That's awesome. Sorry, I had to check my phone. That's awesome. That's legitimately awesome. Ahead of the No More Heroes 3 release, which I think is still slated for this year. Have they said anything else? I mean, the pandemic and everything has kind of fucked everything up, but then we got, when's Bayonetta 3 gonna come out? Anyway, no, that game for like 10 years, it feels like. But I don't know. I guess one interesting piece of news, I don't have my source, because I never retweeted it. I should have, and that would have saved my source. Should have written it down. Is So the Game Awards is going to have some big reveals. Shocker. They do that every year. Whether or not these reveals are actually going to be any good, we don't know. Because last year's was kind of weird. That's some good stuff, but kind of weird. But Microsoft's going to be there. They're going to show some shit off. And what makes this interesting is this is going to be after both the new consoles have launched. So if they're showing things off, it's obviously going to be about the new console and stuff to play on it. Duh. But what makes this interesting is, so apparently there was like a big, I don't know, like a conference that they do, and they did it on webcam, and almost anybody could get invited to this thing if you just followed the procedure, and some guys did. One guy who was actually followed by Phil Spencer himself on Twitter and said that he heard some stuff, and Gabe Newell was there. Now, I'll stop you right here. It's not Half-Life 3. I'm not going to say it's not going to be there, but what I'm talking about is Half-Life 3. But we know Half-Life 3 is coming because of the end of Half-Life Alyx. Spoilers, that game confirms Half-Life 3 so hard, it's insane. It made me so happy. Once I heard about people saying you have to see the ending, I was like, well, I gotta look it up now. I'm never gonna be able to play it. I can't get VR, but I can look a video up on YouTube and saw it and was like, holy shit, I can't believe they're doing it. Yeah, Half-Life 3 is coming. At least these guys seem to want to do it, and maybe Half-Life 3 is going to be done by a different studio with Valve's name on it, because they didn't make Half-Life Alyx. It seems like they did. They didn't. I believe it's Campos Santos. The guys who, or Campfire Studios. The guys who made, what's that game called? Walking Simulator, you're a park ranger. Firewatch. Those guys became part of Valve. But they still have their own studio name. But when you see the logos and stuff for the game, it doesn't, or when the trailers, you never see them. But they wrote the story and they designed the game. Seems to be a similar thing like what Valve has done for a while, which is release other people's games. They're almost like a publisher. Like, they have a hand in it. I'm not saying they don't work on it. They absolutely do. It's just Valve kind of irks me these last years, once I found out what they started doing, and that's they find some very talented people that already have like a studio or a group together and they have a team, and then they release shit as Valve games, and these guys are credited. But let's be honest here, and while credits are incredibly important, let's be honest here, how many people read the credits? Not many. But a lot of people usually look at those logos. I mean, fuck. Everyone knows about who makes Call of Duty. They may get confused about who makes what, but they know Infinity Ward, Treyarch, the big guys. Sledgehammer's new, so they kind of know them. But everybody knows Infinity Ward, Treyarch, right? People know Respawn, their studio with NEA. And while their games are EA games, they are Respawn games. We know it. People don't clap for the EA symbol. No one's clapped for the EA logo in like the last 10 years. People were kind of hesitant to clap back then. Respawn comes up. Fuck Respawn. Let's go. Yeah. Fuck yeah. That Jedi Fallen Order game was the shit. So was all of Titanfall. And Titanfall 2. No one claps for EA. But their logos are still there. Valve doesn't do that. Though I do think Turtle Rock got mentioned and Left 4 Dead 2. But when we think about the Left 4 Dead games, we think Valve. They're not Valve games. They were made by Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock made Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. Portal 2 are not Valve games. Portal was made by a college student, or a group of college students who had this incredible, like, earth-shaking idea about this Portal game. Valve saw it and was like, we gotta buy that shit, bought it, and then turned it into Portal. I'm not saying they helped, I just think it's weird that that didn't get publicized. Not their games. Half-Life, they made. That's theirs. That's their baby. But that just bugs me. Credit shit bugs me. Now, there's still work there and still get paid, but credit's important. But regardless of that, Valve isn't exactly a bad guy. Aren't the ultimate bad guys, so they do really try to keep their grip on the monopoly on the PC gaming market, as they do basically have one, though GOG is almost better in every way. I don't really like Steam. They got good deals, but GOG is so much better. Which CD Projekt or Project Red owns, which is fucking weird. Anyway, getting ahead of getting far away from the point. Though while I don't really like Steam all that much, or the idea of it, or not the idea of what they do, their whole monopoly and shit, they're better than the Apple Store, or iTunes and all that shit. The reason, not the reason. The reason I'm talking about all this is because the guy mentioned something. This guy who I wish I'd had saved the tweet and actually had sources for this. And I want to say this, take this with a huge grain of salt. This is probably bullshit. It could be trolling. But the guy is actually followed by Phil Spencer and a bunch of Xbox people. So he seems to have some legitimacy in that, I don't know. Phil Spencer doesn't follow people that often. And they've talked. So there's something here. And said that Xbox is going to have an earth-shattering reveal at the Game Awards. And no one's going to see it coming. Went on to say that certain. Now remember, this could all be 100% bullshit, and it probably is. So don't get your hopes up. But just think about this: that certain. Oh no, he didn't even say Steam. He didn't even say certain games. He said Steam games could be playable in the Xbox Series X. Now, yes, certain Steam games are because they're multi-platform. But what if Steam was just available on the Series X? That's a pretty big deal. And remember, Valve tried to get in the console market, kind of. Remember Steambox? Remember that fucking fiasco? Oh my god, those were awful. And their controller was terrible. Oh god. But Microsoft knows how to make a fucking console. So maybe that's what they're going to. And it's basically a souped up PC to begin with. You're getting your money's worth with that thing, and it looks great. That would be cool. That would be really fucking cool. How much legitimacy is there to this? Would Valve even want to do that? Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. But I've never even heard of something like that. And people make crazy shit up all the time. Crazy rumors. All the time. Never heard that one. So either this dude's ballsy or stupid enough to just come make shit up like that and think someone will believe it. Or it's real. Or has something to it. It might be something. It might be a part of it that's real. Maybe not the whole thing, but something. Because if you think about that sentence, Steam games on Xbox, sounds fucking stupid. It's like Steam's PC, Xbox is a console. It's not even about them being different companies or whatever. It's that Steam is a PC platform. It's a PC storefront. Well, and Xbox had its own storefront. Why would they do that? That's weird. But the more I think about that rumor, this guy saying that, and there's been like no other rumors, and to say something like that, it either has to have some legitimacy, like something to it. I don't know what the something is. I don't think it's going to be all the Steam games. You can play your hentai porn, your stupid honeypot bullshit on your Xbox. But there might be something to it. Because it's insane. Also, Xbox is just looking for every way they can to bury Sony. And that would be one. They say they're not really competition, and they kind of aren't, but they want people to think that Xbox is the better machine. It's already the best deal, the better deal. But you want that deal to seem as good as possible, and with Steam, it definitely would. I mean, Game Pass is already fucking amazing. They had Steam on top of that shit. It's like, why buy anything else? The only reason I want to even get the PS5 is because of those exclusives. And they are worth it. They are absolutely worth it. And I'm excited for the Xbox exclusive. I want to play Halo. Like, legitimately, like the reason I'm getting an Xbox, if it wasn't for all this stuff, I would get an Xbox just so I could play Halo. I love Halo. And then more Gears and all those other franchises. The reason I get Nintendo stuff is for their exclusives. But also, though, I mean, the Wii U had some of the best exclusives ever. And no one bought the fucking Wii U. So it's not just about how good the exclusives are. It's about how well it's marketed and how good the console is. Wii U wasn't that great of a console. but it had some top tier fucking games. No one gave a shit. No one gave a shit. With Xbox, it's a little bit different. And PlayStation 5, outside of it being ugly as hell and huge, have you seen how big it is compared to the Switch? That's everyone's like versus the Xbox. They put one, IGN put one next to a Switch, and it looks like a toy. The Switch looks like a toy. It's like this big. It's like this big. It's like, holy shit! I never realized how small the Switch was before. PS5's massive. Now, granted, it has to be big. I understand why it's big. It makes sense. It's why I understand why the Xbox looks the way it does. It's for cooling. It's absolutely for cooling. I just wish they didn't put them stupid big ass fins on it and make it look ugly as hell. But that's just me. But yeah, other than that news, that may or may not be news. Oh, apparently Persona 5 Scramble isn't getting localized, even though it's a direct sequel to Persona 5. I haven't even played the game yet, but I was excited for Scramble, and I didn't play it because when it came out, I didn't have any way to play it. But I was like, Scrambled looked awesome. It looked different than any other Persona game I've ever seen. I was like, this looks fucking cool. And it's coming on the Switch. That's awesome. And I was like, that's probably leaning some credence that there eventually will be Persona 5 on the Switch. And Persona has a pretty interesting, or Atlas has an interesting relationship with Nintendo. SMT4 was on the fucking DS for some reason. And we're getting the remake of SMT3 on the Switch. So there's like, oh man, it's going to be, they're really like a Nintendo. Maybe that means more. No, Atlas just hates money, because if that's not getting, that might be conjecture, because they haven't talked about it. So maybe. But if that's not getting localized, what the fuck? It's a direct sequel. That's some bullshit. And the only reason I know this is because I talked about it on the Castle Super Beast podcast with Wooly and Pat. Go listen to that, by the way. They're awesome. But yeah, if that's true, what the fuck is Atlas doing? That just, I don't know. Other big rumor that we might close out with is apparently the Silent Hill rumors were untrue, but maybe not. Maybe that might be what Sony's going to show at the Game Awards, because apparently they got some bullshit to show. But also, Microsoft's looking to acquire another. Well, hold on. They're looking to make another acquisition. We don't know if this is going to be a studio or something bigger. But some of the rumors said that it could be on the level of Bethesda. Now, what the fuck would be the level of Bethesda? I sure as hell know it ain't going to be a single studio. Because they bought, well, not Bethesda, they bought ZeniMax. They didn't buy Bethesda. They bought everybody. They didn't buy just one state. They bought the whole country. Like, they bought ZeniMax. They bought Big Daddy ZeniMax so they could get everything. There'd be no legal bullshit. They had to pay anybody else off. They got it one lump sum. Give us all your bullshit. You have to, what are you going to do? Buy EA? Which, remember when that was a rumor? Because EA was kind of maybe not looking too good, and Microsoft was like, we want to buy EA. And people were like, holy shit. People were like, that's impossible. They couldn't buy EA. And it's like, you understand how much fucking money Microsoft has? Yeah, they absolutely could buy EA or Ubisoft or anybody. One of the jokes I saw was maybe they're going to buy Sony, which is hilarious. They could do it because Apple has been just circling the waters for a long time. I've heard about this for a very long time, and not with video game people, but with like stock people. I've been talking about those stupid stock newsletters and stuff that I sometimes get and read, and my dad's all into the stock market, whatever. I've seen in those talking about how Apple has been trying for the longest time to buy Sony. They're just waiting for the right time, because Sony has a lot of assets. And I don't know if they want their gaming stuff specifically, or if they're actually after all of their assets with a lot of the stuff they have to go through Sony to buy. Just like everybody has to go to Samsung to buy certain light sensors and screens. A lot of stuff they have to go through Sony to buy. And I lost my train of thought. And they own a lot of movie shit. And Apple's making a big push on movie and TV. And while if they did this, the Spider-Man rights would revert to Marvel. But their other movie rights wouldn't. They do own, Columbia Pictures specifically owns a lot of property and has IP that would make Apple's, what do you call it, profitability and everything go up. But they've been talking about that for like 10 years. Just Apple's just looking for the right time. And they probably will do it. But if Apple could do it, Microsoft could do it. Microsoft could absolutely do it. That would be fucking hilarious. And they kind of, well, they didn't do it, but they're building their cloud infrastructure. And they did that with Big Daddy Sony, because Sony is separated to multiple tiers that sometimes don't talk. There's Big Daddy Sony, which lives in Japan. And the video game stuff has kind of been kept, it's been moved in recent years over to the States. And it's been mostly a States thing. Whatever reason, I don't understand. And Sony Japan, or Sony, or PlayStation, by the way, is kind of turning its back on Japan in weird ways that I don't quite understand. Because the other two aren't doing this. And it's weird. And I think that's going to backfire. Backfire, and meaning the end of their company or some bullshit? No. I just think that's not going to be a good look for them in the long run. But they're kind of separate. They're owned by Big Daddy Sony, but they're kind of separate. They talk every now and then, but they've kind of gotten cocky and shit. And because of this, Big Daddy Sony doesn't talk to them all the time. Which is why when Microsoft made a deal with Sony to build their cloud infrastructure and work together to make one together, and they're using their, I believe it's Azure, or however you say it. And I've actually never heard this word pronounced correctly, so I don't know how it's pronounced. Infrastructure, they did it without informing anyone at PlayStation. They found out when the news broke. Why this is important is because PlayStation is trying to use Sony's cloud infrastructure for its own stuff, like PlayStation Now and all that stuff like that. You know, their Gaikai shit. All of that. And it ties directly into gaming and PlayStation. Not just their cloud infrastructure, but basically their infrastructure as a whole in terms of the internet, which ties into PlayStation Plus, PSN, everything. Guess who's making that shit now? Microsoft, or at least has a hand in it. They did all of that without telling anyone at PlayStation. Ain't that some shit? So yeah, Microsoft could buy Sony. Do they need to buy Sony? Absolutely not. That would be a legitimate monopoly concern. But who I think they might be going after, and I know these rumors have sort of been quelled for a while, though I don't think they have been, because the company in question has made some really interesting moves that seem very odd. One of which being out of nowhere, being really buddy-buddy with Microsoft in a way that we saw Bethesda do shortly before the acquisition. And this is one that everyone's been talking about, so this isn't new. This isn't a new thought. But I think they might be making a play at Sega in some way. Maybe not buying Sega in total, but they might. But the Yakuza franchise has been PlayStation only forever, except for when they did those Wii U titles back with Kiwami, which then got remade again or re-released again for the PlayStation, and then now it's on the Xbox. They got 3 Yakuza titles on the Xbox right now: 0, Kiwami 2, and Kiwami 2, and then Yakuza 7 coming out soon. It is exclusive to the Xbox Series X for 4 months. You can get it on the Xbox One, you can get it on the PlayStation 4, and you can get it on PC. But next gen, you can only get it on the Series X until March. Another little wrinkle in this is you can't, while you can get it on the PlayStation 4 and then upgrade to the PS5, there's no cross-save. If you don't know this, Yakuza games are long as shit. You can spend 100 hours in there and never progress the story. But get a lot of XP and stuff that's actually really important, or you could get really far in the story. Well then, okay, the new one, I can finally get the new shit. Well, now you can't get the new shit because you have to start fresh. So why bother getting the new shit? But on Xbox, if you get on the Xbox One, you can play it on the Series X or the Series S or whatever the fuck you want to with crossplay and cross-save. Whatever the fuck you want, because Xbox is awesome. That's a big dick move. Not even a year, 4 months. 4 months to make it really sting. That's just close enough that you could wait, but might not want to. And if you don't, then aren't going to get the PlayStation 5 version, at least not until you finish the game. Like, it hurt, it just stings. Or you go over to the Xbox side and don't have to worry about any of that shit. That's interesting to me because they have never done that before. They've never had this good of a relationship with Microsoft ever, except one time only. They kind of had it at the beginning of the 360 with Sonic specifically. But not all of Sega liked Microsoft. And Sega's been a third-party publisher for a while now. But at the beginning of the Xbox was originally going to be the new Sega platform. And I don't mean the Sega Xbox. I mean Sega was getting out of the console business, and they were just going to become part of Xbox. So much to the point, the original Xbox was going to be backwards compatible with the Dreamcast. It wasn't going to be the Sega Xbox. Let me make that very clear, though. But it was going to be able to play Dreamcast games. And so Sonic was going to become a Microsoft mascot, and yada yada. For whatever reason, the deal fell through. Could you imagine if that comes full circle and they're back? That'd be insane. Just absolutely nuts. But I don't know if it's likely. But while maybe not an outright buyout, I do think there's some very interesting stuff going on between Microsoft, or Xbox specifically, and Sega, and I think it's good. I think it's going to be better for gaming, especially for Xbox gamers who may like a lot of that Sega shit, but haven't been able to play a lot of it. The Yakuza games would be an incredible deal on Game Pass, and I'm thinking that collection eventually is going to come to the Xbox, because you're going to have 4 Yakuza games on there, but you don't have 3, 4, 5, or 6. Eventually, they're going to make their way onto there. Another possible company could be Konami, who might just be getting out of the games business and might just sell all their shit to anybody. The rumor for the while, there was a rumor a long time ago that Xbox bought Silent Hill. Then that turned out to be true. Now the rumors have been that Sony is making plays at Konami, something, which makes sense. I'm sure Nintendo has done it. Nintendo probably wants all the Hudson Soft shit, so they can just make Bomberman just constantly. But Microsoft, that one's a little bit more realistic, but less realistic at the same time. More realistic because Konami probably do it because they're a bunch of money-hungry bastards and they don't care about making video games. Xbox does. Microsoft gives them the money, let's go. Works out. Unrealistic is Konami is a bunch of money-hungry bastards who are very, very, very touchy about their IP. They will never use them, but they don't want anyone else to use them either. They want to keep all their toys in the toy box. You can't look at them or touch them. You can get the fuck out. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But that would be really cool. Other than that, I don't know who else they would get. I can think of some singular IPs and stuff from certain studios they could get, but I don't know who on a big level, an acquisition that they could make, or who that would be. I mean, they could buy anybody, but who that would be, I don't know. Ubisoft? Maybe buy Ubisoft and just fucking liquidate it. Well, they went downhill fast. I mean, they were already going downhill, and then all that sexual assault stuff hit the fan. And it's like, wow. And then EA was like, man, we thought we were bad. Bobby Kotick's like drinking blood out of like an employee's skull and was like, man, that's fucked up, Ubisoft. It's like, shit. You understand how bad you gotta fuck up to make those guys look good? Anyway, that's been the podcast. There will be another podcast next week, but other than that, there's probably going to be little vlogs on the channel spread throughout. So look forward to that for the next a week or two until I can get all the parts together and actually build the damn thing. But until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.